As a kid, I did not have access to a 3D printer because one, I was a kid, and two, they hardly existed. But now I have one, so I got to thinking, if I was still a kid, what would I try and make? Now, unfortunately for this thought experiment, I can't personally answer that because I've grown up. But do you know who can? Now, instead of asking kids on the street, what would you make with a 3D printer? I decided to go about this more logically, because 9 out of 10 answers will be something physically unfeasible or just straight up dangerous. And that's not their fault, they just don't understand what is and isn't a reasonable answer. So I had to give them constraints where they'd be able to make stuff of their own, but within the parameters of reality, or what I call a design brief. And this already makes things 10 times easier. Now, if I'm not surveying on their thoughts on what they'd make, then what am I doing to understand what they'd actually make? And the answer is, they'll make it themselves. Kinda. But obviously, 5 through 10-year-olds don't generally have a grasp of computer graphics, so I can't rely on them constructing a coherent, digital 3D model from scratch in order to use my 3D printer. So whenever I give them a design brief, I'll have to make it out of clay, and that way I can use my smartphone to take pictures of what they made and then stitch it together as a solid 3D model, what some of you might know as photogrammetry. So the only thing to do now was to test this out and see how it went. And since I have access to a room full of kids once a week, I'll explain that part later, I had the perfect opportunity to try this out. But I had to actually come up with a design brief, as well as a new design brief each week. And they had to be something that the kids could easily understand and feasibly make, as well as being something that I could make a bunch of with just one 3D printer. And I'm going to share some of the week's projects we did, as well as some observations I made. Now, one of the first projects I got this room full of kids to do was to add something to an existing 3D model. So I made this crab, but you'll notice that he's missing his shell. So what I wanted them to do was to make anything that they thought would act as a cozy new home for this poor little crab. And I don't know what was ignited in these kids, but man, they loved this idea. And let's just say the results were varied. So my own example was a crab with a shell, and then I took out another example with a literal house on its back. And then kids proceeded to make a hat, a jetpack, some beautifully placed rocks, another jetpack, Among Us, a jetpack again, a shell, and a missile. So like I said, the results were varied, but another cool thing that brought this crab to life was the flexi joints I added. This was the week that it clicked for them, that they'd be making something of their own that would actually come to life. They could design something one week, and the next, they could bring it home. And this was the moment I became these kids' very own toy maker. So that was a success. And now I could just do the same the next week, but with a different animal, but I didn't want to follow it up with just a clone of the previous week. So I thought about how I could get them to involve something that wasn't already 3D printed. Something that they had to incorporate into their design that had a function. But these are single-digit kids. What would I even make them? A bottle opener? But lucky for them, I was hit with a bolt of inspiration. I remembered a story about the kids who used to take apart skateboard bearings and attach their own bits of flared plastic to the outside ring. And they'd sell them at school, and they went viral. Then manufacturers started catching on to this craze, and that was the birth of the fidget spinner. Or at least that's the urban legend version I heard. But that was it. I was going to get them to design their very own fidget spinners. But this time, instead of using clay, I handed out a bunch of sticky notes, and I got them to draw their very own designs for what they thought would make a good fidget spinner. I made sure that each kid drew at least 3, and the one they wanted, they had to color in with pen. And honestly, I just had them do that because I needed to keep this class running, so the coloring in was just there to kill time, because I was scheduled with them for at least 45 minutes. But luckily I learned from this lesson in later weeks. In the meantime, I took away their chosen designs and I 3D printed their fidget spinner flares, which actually turned out amazing. And something I started to notice was that I was able to tell which kid made which spinner, because not only did it vary in complexity depending on their age, but they'd also come up and tell me why they designed something that way. One kid would say, "I wanted this to look like Pikachu's ears." And another would tell me and Tommy are each going to make a shape and then see which one spins the fastest once it's 3D printed. And some of the kids would just make some flower petals. And on that point, the kids really put thought into this. and they were never ashamed or short of breath to tell you what the hell they had just made. And another really touching thing was that before and after a class, sometimes a parent of the kids would come up and talk to me. And they'd tell me that their kid was thrilled to be part of this 3D print club, and that they'd never had a club that their kid would actually go to. But now, they were really involved. And it's so cool to see some of these shy kids come out of their shell when you give them permission to make something of their own. Especially when you listen to their idea and hear about what it means to them. But anyways, I got 2 more projects I want to show you. Because I invented a new format where once every couple weeks, they'd do this round-based version of the normal class, where I'd hand them out pens and sticky notes. And for the first round, I'd ask them to draw a design with a particular theme, and this week's design brief was making miniature swords. So for round 1, I got them to make a lightsaber. Round 2 was a pirate sword. Next, they had to draw the most powerful sword they could think of. And lastly, they would draw a sword of their choice. And combining this round-based style of activity with designing your own weapon just made for a really fun time. And the kids were giggling and laughing while frantically making their swords. But like I said earlier, with learning from my lesson of filling up the lesson time, this outright solved that issue, meaning that some kids didn't just finish miles before each other, which made managing these kids way easier, because they're all having fun. The fact that I could facilitate a class full of kids and host something that allows them to be themselves and have fun, now that is a real gift. And like I said, I was going to show you one last project, but then I remembered that I didn't explain this part. And since I have access to a room full of kids once a week, so if you've watched this channel before, this won't be news to you. But I've been running this thing called a 3D print design club, where I do just this. And I usually do it after school. And what it's given me is a cool way to not only make money with my 3D printer, but to also bring the fun of 3D printing to kids. So if you want to check out my other videos on more of the business side, I'll link to them at the end. But finally, the project you've been waiting for. And like I said before, I wanted to integrate real-world objects into these design briefs. But it's hard to make something of your own when the object takes up most of the print anyway. So luckily I had another killer idea. I've said this in another video before, but sometimes when I run out of ideas, I look for sensory toys or fun cheap things to play with. And that helps because a large chunk of the kids I teach are on the autism spectrum, which explains them not fitting in with other clubs. So the project I had them make on this occasion was a fidget toy. And yeah, that's what this thing is supposed to be. So I took these buttons and I told them what they were for. I even gave them an example. And I asked the kids if they'd make a handheld shape out of the clay and mark out where they'd want to put their fidget parts. And this is where you could see them designing something for how they would like to play with a toy. And even though some weeks the kids would often copy each other's ideas, like the crab with 5 jetpacks I made that one week, it seemed like this time each kid was making something truly their own and just playing with the possibilities of what they could make. And just so you have an idea of what this looked like in the moment, I printed off these little cubes the size of the click switches for each one of them to slot into the clay. And I told them to mark the spots to put these ball bearings into. And all that was left for me was to scan them in. Since this was one of my favorite weeks of the class, I added a keychain to their fidget gizmos so that they could always have it with them, as I thought that this would be one of those projects that gets used the most out of these kids. My time spent with these kids, getting to know them, and learning what projects excited them, that's really what answered the question I had earlier. As a kid, I did not have access to a 3D printer, so I got to thinking, if I was still a kid, what would I try and make? But the great thing is, I answered that question and more. And like I said before, I run classes like this every week. And if you set them up correctly, it's not too difficult to make a good earning from these. You can also check out some of my other videos on how to run a profitable 3D print design club right here.